It's time to wake up the core, fire up the legs and glutes, and challenge your balance. This energetic flow is here for you to strengthen your lower body, but also to lengthen the muscles. This is a wonderful way for you to get in a quick workout, but also a nice stretch for your hamstrings and psoas, helping you work toward your splits, or just enjoying some nice postures that allow you to let go of any built-up tension in your mind and body. Let's step on the mat and get to it. Let's come to the top of the mat, standing in mountain pose, reaching up with the hands and folding forward, halfway lift, and rolling up, reaching the arms up and hands come to heart. Finding a still moment before we begin our workout. Taking a deep breath, and hands reach up to the sky, folding forward, step back with both feet into plank, chaturanga, upward facing dog, and downward facing dog. Taking a breath here, feeling your muscles beginning to awaken. And then bring the knees down to hover just above the mat and release, look up. Lifting the knees again, hovering in our bear stance, and release the knees. Let's lift up again, feeling the core engaging, feeling the thighs, and release. Let's extend the right leg out, left arm out in front, coming into our bird dog position, holding here, looking forward or looking down at the mat, trying to keep the hips level and square. And let's bend that back knee and pump it up to the sky. Keep pumping, using your glute to lift that heel. And pause, holding at the top, pointing the toes and extending the leg out, bringing the knee down and switching sides. Coming into our bird dog, left leg, right hand. Extending the arm out, the leg right behind you. Holding here. Engaging your core, engaging your muscles, and bending the knee. Pump it up to the sky. Remember to use your glute. Try to make this motion as controlled as possible. And hold. And bringing the back knee down. Let's lift that right foot up to the sky again and reach back if you can with the left hand. Finding our tiger pose, pushing into the hand with the foot, feeling that arch in the back. Nice stretch here and releasing down. And let's lift the left leg, reaching back with the right hand, finding our tiger pose on the opposite side. And let's release the hand down to the mat, keeping the left leg extended. Bend the knee, holding here, feeling the engagement in the left glute. And let's do 16 more pumps. Heel reaching up to the sky with each pump, using the glute muscle to do all the work, and holding at the top and releasing the toes down to the mat, coming into plank. and chaturanga, upward facing dog, and downward facing dog. Breathing here, and then rolling forward, coming into bear stance again. And release the knees, looking forward, lift the knees, bear stance, and release. One more time, lift up, hold, 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 and release. And one last time, lifting up to bear stance, and release down. And let's reach the right leg up to the sky, heel reaching up, the knee is bent, holding at the top, and then 16 more pumps on this leg. Using your glute, trying to keep the hips square to the mat. Pump it, pump, pump, and hold. Extend the leg out, toes to the mat, stepping back to plank and chaturanga, upward facing dog, stretching out the core, and downward facing dog. Let's bend the knees and step or hop between the hands, coming back to Navasana Rolls. So holding Navasana and then rolling back. Trying not to touch the mat with the feet as you roll up. You can hold behind the knees if you need to. Just doing a few rolls here, feeling some core engagement. And holding in boat pose. Feeling your hip flexors working, your lower abs. And let's do boat to canoe, extending the legs out and coming up. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and holding boat pose at the top, holding, and releasing down, extending the legs out in front of you, reaching up and folding over into our seated forward fold, also known as Paschimottanasana. And lift straight up. Bring both knees into the chest to grab your big toes or your ankles. And just bring them into the chest, or you can see if you can extend the legs straight up. And then bring them together, soles of the feet together into Baddha Konasana or butterfly pose. And lifting up again into big toe hold and down to butterfly. I'm just going to do that a few times here, feeling the engagement in the body. Getting a little bit of a stretch as well in both poses. Just maybe asking certain muscles to work that we don't usually ask. And just go at your own pace here. Holding onto your big toes or holding onto your ankles. Again, you don't have to straighten the leg. And then releasing down into butterfly pose. And sitting tall first before you begin to fold forward, trying to keep your back as straight as you can, folding from the hips. And lifting up. Let's come onto the elbows, extending the legs straight up, holding here, and let's crisscross 20 times, crisscrossing the legs, working the inner thighs, working the core, and hold. Toes are pointed up to the sky. And bend the knees. And let's roll up, coming to seated, and you can just stand onto your feet and walk them forward into forward fold. And let's roll up to Tadasana, reaching up to the sky, and hands come to heart. Finding a moment to recenter before we continue. And reaching up to the sky again. Lifting the right knee up, and then stepping back into high lunge. Bending into the left knee. And bringing the weight back into that left leg. Right knee reaches up. Extend the leg out in front and then reach it back into high lunge once again. Just kind of making this motion as fluid as possible, reaching it up, stretching it out in front, and then reaching it back. You can do whatever you'd like with your arms here. You can just hold on to your hips to give you more balance, or reach them up and down and back. Just make this as fluid as you would like to. And then on this last one, let's reach forward, grabbing onto the right foot, and see if you can pistol squat to seated. If not, just sit down onto the mat. We're going to find heron pose, so bringing the left foot back towards the butt, still holding onto the right foot, bring the knee into the chest, and extend the leg out once again. Doing this a few times here. Feeling the stretch. Your left knee doesn't need to be bent backward like this. You can leave it extended out in front, or as if you would come into a cross-legged position. Whatever feels best for you today. And let's hold here in heron, finding a nice stretch in the hamstrings, keeping the back as straight as possible. Again, you can bend the knee, it doesn't have to be extended out. And releasing both legs to the front, bending the left knee and bringing the left foot into the right thigh, and folding forward, finding a nice stretch in the hamstrings again. And lifting straight up. Let's bring the hands on either side of that right leg and try to point the toes and lift the right leg as high as you can while still keeping your back straight. And let's flex the foot, holding for a stretch, and then coming back to plank pose and flowing it out. Up dog and downward facing dog. Let's hop or step between the feet, halfway lift, and rolling up to the sky. Hands come down to the heart. Recentering, finding a moment of peace. And let's lift the left leg up to the sky. Reach it back to high lunge. Finding your balance. Bending into the right knee. And shifting the weight forward, bringing the left knee up again, extending it straight out in front, and swinging it back to high lunge. So doing the same exercise we did before on the left leg now. And again, doing whatever you would like to with your hands, keeping them at your waist, or allowing them to flow with your leg. Just doing what feels right for you in this moment. And on this last one, let's grab the left foot with both hands, trying to pistol squat down to the mat or just sitting down and finding heron pose, keeping the right leg how it is right now, or you can reach the foot back to the glutes So the knee is bent, and reaching up, extending the left leg and then bringing it into the chest. Just doing this a few times at your own pace. You don't have to extend the left leg fully, just enough to get a little bit of a stretch. You can hold on to your calf or your ankle, and then holding it wherever you feel the stretch. Enjoying heron pose. And releasing the left leg straight out, bringing the right foot to the left thigh, and folding forward, finding a different pose for the same stretch. And then coming back up, bringing both hands to either side of that left leg, point the toes, and trying to lift that left leg as high as you can while keeping your back straight. And releasing back into plank pose, chaturanga, upward facing dog, and downward facing dog. Holding for a breath, and bend your knees and step or hop between the hands, coming into forward fold, holding here for a bit longer. And then stepping the right foot back, finding pyramid pose. Both legs are straight, folding from the hips, and lifting up. Both legs are straight, and bending both knees, coming down for 3, 4, 5, 6, and holding at the top. Shifting the weight forward, bringing the right knee up to the sky, and then releasing down to mountain pose. And then releasing into dancer's pose, reaching back with the right hand, reaching forward with the left hand, feeling a nice stretch in this pose, and releasing up, right knee up to the sky, and down to Tadasana. Let's reach up again, fold forward, stepping the left foot back, reach up to the sky, and bending both knees. Knee is hovering just above the mat, and then coming up, straightening both legs, coming down and lifting up, holding before we shift the weight into the right foot, finding dancer's pose on this side. And releasing, left knee comes up to the sky before we release the feet together. Hands reach up to the sky again, moving right along, slight back bend, and folding forward. Halfway lift, and step or hop back to plank. Chaturanga, upward facing dog, and downward facing dog. Right leg reaches up to the sky, steps between the hands, left knee comes down to the mat, finding low lunge, and then straightening the right leg as we move the hips backward into half splits, then coming back to low lunge. And reaching back to half splits. And you can stay here, or you can move into practicing your full splits. As you can see, I'm not quite there yet. Still working on this pose. It's a long journey, but it's a good one. Just breathing here, returning to your breath. So you feel a nice stretch in the left psoas, the right hamstring, opening up the hips. And to come back out, let's just move into a half split posture. Low lunge, and then stepping back into down dog. Switching sides, left foot reaches up and steps between the hands, low lunge. half splits, low lunge, holding here, and then finding your full splits if you'd like. You'll notice that one side is going to be a bit more open than the other. So just breathe into the stretch that you're feeling and find acceptance for wherever your body is. You can try to make the stretch a bit more active by pressing into the mat with your hands and trying to lift the back knee off of the mat, or just staying here. And to come out, finding half splits again, or low lunge, and then stepping back into downward facing dog. Let's roll forward into plank and flow it out, coming back to downward facing dog, and release the knees to the mat, finding child's pose. Just taking a quick breath here before we end our practice. Let's stretch out the side body, so reaching the right hand to the left and switching sides, left hand on top of the right hand, feeling a nice stretch in the left side body. And coming back to center, breathing in and lifting up, coming into a seated pose in the middle of your mat. Let's do a seated cat-cow. Arching the spine, looking up, and rounding through the shoulders. Arching the spine, breathing in, and rounding, exhaling out. Let's reach the hands up to the sky and bring them down to your heart, and down and up again, down to the heart. Thanking yourself for this practice. You did an amazing job. I wish you all a beautiful day. Namaste.